The dining room is finished. I'm really happy with that, as you can see. And we have gone round and inspected and there's no crackage, so that is good. What we're getting on with today is some small jobs. Oh, Chris has got a heck of a big job with this.
Who paints a ceiling with gloss paint?
The previous occupants painted the ceiling with gloss paint. So all we need to do is remove the gloss paint, and then you can see the shine on that, because there's no way I can plaster it. It's not going to take. So Chris has a heck of a job with a rubbish scraper and lots of patience,
Which I don't have.
which, as we all know, he hasn't got. And what I'm going to be getting on with, although I think I'll probably end up doing that as well, is the side of this cabinet still needs plaster. And we're going to make a batch, maybe a half batch, because I'm not happy with the finish on this lintel here. Can you see when I sprayed it? This was done with a spraying machine when we still had it. Not happy with this finish. And this area up here was really, really deep, and so it did crack. So that could do with a fine coat. This could do with a fine coat to neaten it up. And we're finally going to tackle this rubbish area, weird area here. Still got the plastic down waiting for it. So whilst Chris started that in there the other day that he's now continuing with, poor guy, I will give you your mask, darling. What I did was I had a batch of ceiling mix and managed to fill in up there. So that now looks nice, which means that Chris can fit the extractor. So that's all good. And I wasn't happy, if you remember, on the finish on this beam here. So I've done it with the same finish as the beams over there. I think it ties in much nicer now than looking bobbly like I had it originally like that. The other thing I did was the side of this cabinet. So yeah, all good. I will go and sort out this mask for you now.
Yes, I'm just watching the black and white one.
Is he being naughty?
He's just done again the same as what you was telling me about, where he's pretending to be chewing the ball, or pretending to rest his head on the pallet, and then chewing the seam in the back.
We're not stupid, mate. So he's got his ball. So that's what he's playing with, really. But he was chewing on the side of that bag. Here's your mask for doing that. Don't do that without a mask.
Now this stuff's alright actually. It's not giving off a lot that much dust, but yes, I will have a mask.
Okay.
We keep saying this is plastic paint, but I don't honestly think it is. Because from my fingers,
Oh, okay.
it's not.
Don't know what it is then.
But this is that bit you did as a test piece the other day.
Yeah, so Chris is unable to take it off. He scored it strongly, and I've put a test patch on there just to see how well it takes, as to whether that's the way to go on patches that we can't take off.
I mean, it's solid, but can I scrape it off? That's be the test.
Yes.
Only if I dig in. No, no. It hasn't where there isn't deep scars.
Okay. We might have to look at putting some of that builder's glue on. Reminds me of PVA glue that they paste onto things before doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So, what's the next option?
This stuff here that we acquired, it's what plasterers used. It's incredibly watery. I've just done a little bit there to see how absorbent this stuff is.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be very.
Oh, okay.
It really is watery.
It smells weird, that stuff.
Yeah. It runs down the thing. But it makes a right mess. Bits already splashed onto here, dripped onto here. When I did a quick flick with the paintbrush.
Okay.
Not realising, just managed to clean it off.
So whilst Chris is inside just preparing 2 more patches, we've put the grey on. This is the other product that we've got that is specifically for putting on walls and ceilings to then put your application, your render, your plaster on top of afterwards. So we'll try 2 test patches with this, one with no paint on it and one with scored paint on it. We'll plaster all 4 and we'll make a decision as to if any of them are any good. So we've got these 2 test patches we're going to have with this Unimore. We've got this stuff that the plasterer left us that's black. What I've also done here is I've taken the slurry out of my bucket from when I'm sponging. It's got a mixture of lime and sand and all sorts of, and I have put a very thin coat of it on there, simply because Chris found over here where when I sponged this and went up and over, that has taken really well. So we're trying all the options that are available to us. So we'll leave that to dry.
Yeah.
And we'll have to make a little mixture by hand.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. We really need a half this bucket's worth. We really need smear, 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 smear.
Yeah.
As the test.
That's it. Right, I better carry on scraping anyway.
Okay. Some would say this was a labour of love. Some would just say it's just a pain in the posterior.
Lillian came up with a suggestion with these tools. Would they work instead? So she had a go, and yes, they did. Kind of. So, it's better than that flipping horrible scraper. But it is working.
Working is easier on the hands because you've got something bigger to hold on to, a proper handle, so it's like.
Yeah.
Man, still at work, somewhat later.
Yes, and not much further. We've made a bit of a discovery. Some of this isn't paint. Some of this looks like a thin skim of plaster because it's solid. And when we dig at it, it actually digs off a thin layer of this grey stuff.
Yeah.
We're both scraping away and going, it's not paint, it's not paint. Lillian's over there going, it's not paint.
I'm over here going,
it's not paint. You can actually see where they tried to repair or try and smooth it off. If they'd have gone for a more rustic way, they'd have managed it.
Yes, yeah. So I was here scraping what I thought was the paint, but it's actually coming off. There is a micro thin layer of plaster.
Yeah.
And then you can see there's the plaster, then another layer, then another layer. So that's fine, it'll take to the plaster.
So I bet when we took the other plaster off
Yes.
that we had put on, it pulled the paint away with it. I mean, there was paint over here.
Yes.
That was clearly paint. And there's some more paint in places. But this up here, no, it's not paint.
No. Cool, we'll just take off the loose, it just needs a light scraping then. In which case you're halfway there.
In which case I've wasted about 4 hours of my arm life. You do realise that in a number of years' time, those 4 hours will take the toll, my arms won't work.
Won't they?
No. So 4 hours before I die, my arms will stop because I've worn them out.
What?
So there you go. That's my countdown now. So if you see my arms stop working, you know I'm going to be dead in 4 hours.
Not too nice out here today. It's been raining very early on. It's now 9 o'clock-ish. There are grey clouds over there, it looks threatening. So we need to get on with this. And we are going to be making some more lime plaster. And try and get this room plastered. It involves putting that glue stuff up and then plastering on it. And we want to do this before the rain because we're threatened with this weather for the next 10 days or so.
Yes.
And the only thing we can't do when it's raining is use a cement mixer.
Oh, there's Lillian painted on the stuff.
Yes.
Doing alright?
Yeah, I'm just concerned where I've dribbled it. down there, so I'm just using my sponge from the other day.
Okay.
I'm just dabbing it with lime. It's not going to do harm at the end of the day.
No.
I don't want it to look a different colour.
We've been saying about how hot it is, how hot it's been. The last month, 6 weeks or whatever, have been mentally hot, completely out of the norm. And now it's really, really cold again. It's like autumn. So that's a different thing, which is good because that means the line won't go off quite as quick. Not like it did when we was doing that wall there, and we really, really struggled because it was that warm and the warm air was coming through, and it was cooler when we were doing that one, so that lasted longer. And it's definitely cooler now, so this one should go off even slower. It's a bit difficult to see, really, with it being a little bit darker in here, but Lily's getting on well. This is going to be the first coat. I reckon we'll need a second one, unfortunately, which is really unfortunate.
Yes,
really.
it is.
Hey, don't you look like adamant?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. You got a white stripe across your nose. You right, Nakey Peaky? And there's Dover. It's actually darker than it looks. The camera's enhancing the light, let's say. It's considerably later in the day, isn't it?
It is. It's dark outside.
I know, I'm just looking on this camera back screen and it's actually lighter on the screen than it is actually outside. It's quite amazing, really.
Okay.
Maybe it's got its own built-in colourful night vision.
Maybe so.
So, how's it going?
Good. Couple of patches I've done too thin, so I've sponged it. I'm going to have to come back tomorrow. So a little patch here.
Oh no. Really?
Yeah, a centimetre square there and a centimetre square here.
But it is looking a lot better, isn't it?
Yes.
Considerably better. Okay. Called it for the night. It's 10:30. So, there are a few little places that need a little bit of work, but for the most part it's done. It's just the odd place, a little bit there and a little bit there and a little tiny bit there and then a couple of other places. But this is what we do with our quality control, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In the dark. Oh, so get past this light, lantern light.
Disappointed that I polished too hard in certain spots, but nature of the beast, I've done it. But I have got away with only putting one coat on. Didn't need two coats because I doesn't need it for strength, it's just for looks. So I'm quite happy to come back tomorrow. We can just make a very small pot and just patch up the bits where I've polished too hard.
Yes.
Didn't polish too hard, didn't put it on thick enough, whichever way around. But other than that, thrilled to bits. It's actually quite bright, although it's not a nice day.
Now we've got loads more rain due.
Yeah.
We had intended to do this yesterday for us, but the rain was just horrendous.
Yeah.
It was absolutely terrible. And I didn't want to cover the sand, and I wasn't willing to stand outside and then chucking it down rain. It was torrential. So we're a day behind, so be it. We just need to make a top up. I'm not getting the cement mixer out, so what we're going to try and use is the lime putty that you saw us make on an old video now.
Yeah.
And the sand, but still the same ratios. 2 of these, 1 of that, and we'll just mix it up and see how it is.
Yeah, so that's using the lime putty that we made as opposed to the lime powder.
As opposed to the NHL, yeah.
Yes.
It's only for topping up. It's only for where little bits didn't go properly.
Yes, okay.
As we go.
Is it the blue bucket you're going to be using, isn't it?
Yes.
Whilst Chris just measures that, excuse the state of this room, it's a builder's yard at the moment. This is the putty, if you remember, that we made a long time ago. And there's water on the top, and then the lime putty underneath. So he's going to get the same amount of lime putty as his measure But I can't be in here while she's doing it because there's not enough room.
That wasn't as easy a task because it's under so much water. I had to keep tipping it in, mind over putting it in and then getting the water to come out, then putting it back in again.
Okay.
It's definitely white.
Very white.
It's very bright white. Now we need to mix it and give it a really good mix.
Okay.
It's going to need some water adding, but I'm not sure how much water we need to add because that's already wet.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll put gloves on.
I think we might have to use the drill.
You reckon I can't do it
I
like
think so, because you're not going to get it to mix properly.
Okay. You're never going to guess. Blue sky behind you.
Huh. It's not going to last long according to the weather reports.
Well, let's revel in it then.
Yes. So, lime putty, sand, spare water, because we're going to need some, but we don't know how much. Just mixed in there. That's basically lime wash in there.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
We've never done it this way.
No.
Not ever. So, let's see. I don't actually think we're going to need more water.
Dover away.
Never mind yourself, mate. It's
Don't want
splashing
this.
everywhere. Well, we won't need that.
Okay, I'm surprised.
So am I.
Very, very surprised.
Yeah, it still needs a lot more mixing yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see what it's like once it's finished. Once
Okay.
it's mixed. Okay, so I've just finished mixing it
Yes, you have.
to a consistency I think's sticky tight. What do you think?
Yep, sticky.
Okay. Yeah.
Good to go.
Right. Definitely didn't need any of that extra water.
Very, very surprised. There was that much sand. My head said that the putty would... Oh, Dover, don't. You've just gone into a handful of putty. Look at him.
Dover.
Dover.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait now because
I've got to clean him up.
we've got to get that all that off him.
Oh, what you like.
You're a spoon. Right, so that's Dover's face been washed.
Yes.
Crazy
With
guy.
my t-shirt and with baby wipes and all sorts.
Yes. And it's
Dog.
just turned into a thing now again.
Come again.
Yes, but at least it didn't go near his eye.
Yep.
Okay, right.
Here we go again. Okay, first attempt to see what happens. I've lost the spot now. Yeah, that takes fine.
Okay.
That's covering is staying up there nice and thick.
Yeah.
Which means I can be able to sponge it and I can feather the edges, which is what I do to make it disappear.
Yeah.
That's good.
You've just been working with NHL 3.5 for the past God knows how long, and now you're trying more traditional line
Yes.
way. I know that's wetter than most people would put traditional lime up, but you make it the
Good.
amount of water and consistency that you need for the job you're doing. That's the
Correct.
beauty of it.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I prefer this. I prefer this using the lime putty. It's stickier when it's wetter, if that makes sense. So when the other one is very wet, it drops off like pancake batter if you tried to put pancake batter on a ceiling. This isn't. This is much stickier. Look.
Yes.
Yeah, I prefer this.
Awesome.
We'll see when it comes to sponging it. Maybe I'll change my mind then. But no, at the moment I prefer this.
Yes. The one thing I would say where the NHL has a definitive advantage
Yes.
is it's designed to be have more compressive strength.
Okay, yes, that's why we've used it, because we've used it for strength. Obviously we're plastering for looks, but we're actually rendering to shore everything up.
Yes.
So just in case.
Consolidate and then make nice.
Exactly. Calling that. Gonna leave it an hour and come back and see what it's like with a sponge.
Yeah.
This is the bit that's been on the longest, where I'm right on the beach.
That was the first one, was it? Yes.
And you see, I can still put my finger in it. It's too wet to sponge, but it's On that side it's just starting to go, so maybe in an hour, certainly today.
Yes.
If not in an hour, in a couple of hours, they'll be spongeable.
Yeah.
So I'll check it in an hour, make a decision. And yeah, happy with that.
Awesome.
Be interesting to see what it's like sponged, because it's a different beast to the 3.5 that we've been using the powder. Right, that's it, done. Second coat where the patches are missing, sponging done. Done, done, done. Look at that.
Awesome.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Now potentially tomorrow we're going to start line washing.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yes. But because I'm rubbish at this sort of thing,
Hold it.
well, I'm going to have a go as well.
Yeah.
I've been tasked with cleaning up this.
Yes, clean up my mess.
Okay, so next morning after doing that bits of line, it's bright at the moment. Been due another storm. For the weather app for my mobile phone, it's saying that we're still due storms and rain for another 10 days. Weird, really, really weird. It seems that the storms and the rains and everything that we should have had at the beginning of the year have now moved to now, and we're having the weather that we should have had then, now, which is going to mess up a lot of crops and it's going to cause all sorts of farming issues. Anyway, enough about that. So this is the room done. It looks brilliant. You can see some light patches dotted around where the top-up line would be put on. It's slightly whiter, that's fine, because it's all going to get line washed anyway. What's it feel like? There's not a lot of difference between the two really, apart from the NHL has gone hard and the other line is, it's not hard, but it's not soft. Fantastic. We're not sure which room we're starting to line wash in. I believe it's going to be the little tiny room that's out the back there. So while Lillian's out, I'll start to do a couple of little jobs dotted about. Another thing, the reason why she's gone out is to get for price for tyres for the car. It's ITV time. It's the equivalent of the UK MOT, and the tyres are getting low. Not worn, nowhere near the wear markers, but they're getting there. They're the manufacturer's recommended wear as opposed to the absolute minimum legal wear. So as we do on the motorbikes, once they start to get there to the manufacturer's recommended, we always change them. Safety first, particularly on a motorbike, because you only have like a credit card sized patch between you and the road. And we want to make sure the car goes through its ITV without any issues. We don't see any other issues with the car.
Well, I'm back from shopping. I've left my glasses in the car, so I'm squinting because I didn't realise how bruised the sky is. The blue, we've got lots of sunshine, but look at that. That's coming. It's got a little bit of thunder behind it as well. So there you go. Anyway, in town, achieved really well. I got the brushes that I wanted. I've got little buckets for putting the paint into. So I've got no excuse to not get on with the painting, except that I'm not doing the painting tomorrow because I'm going back to town because I ordered the tyres. So I went to a tyre fitting place and they've given me a quote for the same tyres with valves fitted, etc. It's €240. So that means these last ones have lasted us 4 years. We've paid €60 a year for tyres. That's nothing, absolutely nothing. So really happy with the price going back tomorrow. So guys, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up, comments as ever welcome below. And thank you to all the new subscribers and all our regulars for continuing to follow us on our journey.